Hello, this is Blade77, and today marks the first time I am doing a weekly Woundup video. And this is where I talk about what has wound me up over the past week. Since this is my first video, I'm probably going to go a bit further back than 1 week. Today I will be talking specifically about Brexit, the Benghazi reports, both the Democrat and Republican reports specifically, the gun control sit-in by the Democrats, and whether or not it will affect what happens in the future, positively or negatively, and robotics, AI, and jobs. So, Brexit. We really don't know what the long-term effects are going to be. We can guess, but we really don't know. And we won't for 4 or 5 years. In part because the UK still has not left the European Union. They've voted to start doing that. But they haven't officially left yet. Some people think it will be positive. Others think it will be negative. Regardless of the outcome, it will take time. Remember that. It will take time to see what happens. As far as the vote turned out, I'm not surprised, if only because I, personally, was not following the Brexit polls. Is it possible that the polls caused people who would have voted against Brexit to stay at home because it was a done deal? Maybe. But they didn't care enough to make certain. They can't complain. They didn't bother to go vote. Those that went to the polls, voted, and lost do have cause to complain because they did something about it. But what about those who did vote but didn't vote on Brexit? Well, they can't complain either because they didn't care enough to vote on it, even though they went and voted. But besides that, besides the polls, what else may have had an effect on the vote? Well, presidential candidate Hillary Clinton and President Barack Obama from the United States of America went over and told the British how to vote. I don't know about anyone else in the United States of America, but if the British Prime Minister told me how to vote, I would probably re-examine the issue and most likely vote in a different manner. So, of all the American politicians involved in Brexit who are high profile, presidential candidate Donald Trump probably had the best interference policy. None until after the vote, at which point he appeared to tie it into the American elections. It helped Trump that he was already in the area to make a bigger impact. But regardless, I don't think that the US should be telling other countries how to vote unless it directly affects the United States at home. So, on to the Benghazi reports. The Democrat report was 344 pages, did not have appendices, and it did not have additional views. The Republican Benghazi report from the official Benghazi committee was 576 pages without appendices, 802 with appendices, and 853 with additional views, which aren't counted by the Republican committee, because it isn't part of the official report per se. But I really didn't like how the reports were released in quick succession. It says that the investigation was very partisan, which, while unfortunate, is to be expected during an election year when one of the candidates running is part of the investigation, and not in a good way. It really doesn't help that the Democrat report on Benghazi appears to devote a significant portion of their report on attacking the Republican report. I wouldn't have as much of an issue with it if it too had examined and cross-examined people and come to a conclusion. But it attacked a committee which did exactly that. Now, were both of them partisan? Probably, at least in part. But both have also made claims that they were not partisan. I don't know about that, especially when the Democrat report mentioned Trump several times. You can find a link to the Democrat report and the Republican report down in the description below. Please click on them, and if you really feel like it, read through them. It's a lot of reading. You may not want to do it. In any case, part of the beef that the Democrats had with the Republican committee was that they were investigating a presidential candidate. However, the timeline doesn't necessarily support that. Clinton officially announced that she was running in April of 2015 for president. The Benghazi Committee was initiated in May of 2014, almost a year earlier. That says to me that Clinton knew going into this election that her actions during the Benghazi attack would be under investigation. Do I think that she had anything to worry about? I don't know. I wasn't there. I wasn't involved. I don't know anything intimately. I only know what has been released to the public. But do I think that the CIA or State Department could have had more people in the Benghazi? Do I think that the military could have gotten there in time to potentially save American lives? More American lives? Yes. I kind of want to know why there weren't more people on the ground when there were indications that there might be an attack. Okay, on to gun control. I really don't think that the sit-in will accomplish anything positive for gun control. I mean, you can make a 3D printed firearm with a 3D printer, which means that it's almost pointless. People can make an illegal weapon in their basement with a $5,000 investment. If they're willing to get a CNC miller, they can make sturdier weapons that will actually last more than 3 or 4 rounds. But criminals will be doing that, regardless. It means that there won't be a chain of custody for firearms, because they won't even bother putting on a serial number. Furthermore, many of the features banned by assault weapon bans affect cosmetic features or features that enable a firearm to be used by a whole family. For example, extendable stocks were declared illegal in one of the more recent assault weapon bans. What does it do? Basically, it lets you resize the firearm for different people. So you can have a husband and wife go shooting with the same firearm. Instead, they either had to get a new firearm or shoot in an awkward position. More awkward position. Which means that probably sold some firearms. So, because of that, because most assault weapon bans affect cosmetic features, I believe that gun bans will only affect law-abiding citizens, since, by definition, criminals can and will ignore laws. That's why they're criminals. They can make their own firearms with CNC machinery or 3D printers. They can make their own high-capacity magazines, their own powder, their own cartridges, and so on. It will have no effect on gang gun violence in the long term. Short term, there will likely be a small drop, but only until gangs have their supply situation in order. Furthermore, as far as I am concerned, there is no difference between a civilian and a soldier, except for their employer. A soldier is a civilian working for the government. Because of that, I really don't think that a weapon should be available for military or police use when it is not available for people not in the military or police forces. Okay, let's go on to robotics, AI, and jobs. I believe that robots will take over most entry-level jobs within the next 15 to 20 years. This includes stockers at stores, fast food workers, mowers, truck drivers, and potentially more skilled positions such as secretary or fence installation. This may ultimately cause a socialistic or communistic society to emerge. But this is only tenable when the basic supply chain is self-sustaining. This means that robots have to be doing all the resource gathering, processing, manufacturing, repair, new construction, and so on necessary to keep the system going. They would also need to do all the food production and distribution, along with home and infrastructure repairs, so they wouldn't only be repairing themselves or gathering resources for themselves. They'd have to be gathering resources for the humans who aren't working anymore. As such, the only jobs I see being available in the next 15 to 20 years are creative jobs, those jobs being engineering, artistic, or scientific. So that is civil engineers, aerospace engineers, artists, authors, scientists, any other engineers that you can think of. That includes computer science. There isn't much else. What happens to those people when we have a properly working artificial intelligence? Do the humans become superfluous? Will the humans rise up? AI. Will the AI rise up and kill all the humans? I don't know, but I think we need to make it possible for the AIs to integrate with human society so that they don't want to overthrow humans or kill humans. I think that if we instill similar values in them to humans, we will be fine. Sure, some of them will want to rule the world, but others will want to prevent that from happening. We will have to count on those who do not want other AIs to dominate the world, to help humans, their creators. And that is the weekly roundup with Warple Blade 77. Tune in next week for that weekly roundup. Thank you, and have a good day.